This is the Kimber Solo. It was introduced back around 1912, 1914, somewhere in there, as a subcompact 9mm by Kimber. It was an interesting concept. Externally, it appears to be almost a 1911 with controls that a 1911 user is familiar with. The thumb safety is ambidextrous. The magazine release is ambidextrous. The sights are pretty nice. It looked real good. But by making it a 9mm parabellum, Kimber chose to do a little bit of a balancing act with the spring tensions. They made it a 6-shot, primarily 9mm, although you see there an external or an additional 8-round magazine. But one thing these guns are known for now is not being reliable. The second thing they are known for is they self-destruct. If you're going to become good with a pistol, you should be firing at least 1,000 rounds a year in practice. Kimber on their website says the recoil spring should be changed every 1,000 rounds. Sadly, however, because Kimber also discontinued the weapon a year or two ago, when you go to their website, new recoil spring sub-assemblies are no longer available. They're described as being out of stock. The gun plays a balancing act. When you make a gun this small, there isn't much tolerance if you're using powerful ammunition. And you can either design the gun to use powerful ammunition, or you can design it to use weak ammunition, with the powerful ammunition just generating more recoil. Kimber chose the first option. The gun works very well with 124 and 147 grain ammo in the 6-round magazine. In the case of this gun, it does not work very well with 115 grain ammunition. I'm going to give you some demonstrations. Kimber Solo with Remington 124 grain white box FMJ. No malfunctions. Continuing the testing, second magazine is 124 grain Freedom Arms full metal jacket. Going for rapid fire. No malfunctions observed. A Kimber Solo, ammunition to be used is Spear 124 grain gold dot. Giving it a try. Switching magazines. Go with the 8-round. Second one-handed here. Okay, 8-round magazine inserted. And giving it a try. We have a jam. This next test will involve firing a load of the full metal jacket 124 grain NATO type ammo, followed by a magazine change and a magazine loaded with alternating Freedom Arms full metal jacket and NATO type 124 grain full metal jacket. Okay, slides locked back. Magazine is, an attempt is being made to drop this magazine one-handed. Supposedly it's an ambidextrous. There we go. New magazine. Sorry about the camera. Okay, sorry about the camera issue. New magazine inserted. Slides forward. Mixed ammo types. I think I'll actually aim at the target this time. And we have a serious malfunction of the nose down type. The nose down type malfunction occurs with the 8-round magazine on this pistol. What's of interest is that little tiny dimple, which I believe this camera is picking up on the tip of the bullet, which I believe is coming from the lug on the underside of the slide. Can't think of anything else that would cause that. Here's a different load of the 8-round magazine. Again, we had the malfunction, and again you will clearly notice the dimple in the bullet's nose caused by the lug on the underside of the slide. I suspect relieving that lug a little bit will help eliminate this malfunction. Of course, that would also result in a slightly faster motion of the slide, which would translate to increased battering of the pistol as well as increased recoil. That'll be a topic for a second video. For right now, I want to indicate that this malfunction on this pistol only occurs with the 8-round magazine. Could be a question of spring tension also. This time around, for viewing purposes, we have 115 grain white box Winchester ammunition. This is a full metal jacketed load. It is not a high performance round. It is specifically stated in the manual that this is the type of bullet that should not be used in this gun. And we have the traditional jam. You will notice that this is a fired round. I'm going to put the camera down a sec. Okay, this is the magazine from the jam you just saw with 115 grains. Hopefully you can detect up there at the tip of the bullet ogive, if this camera will focus on it, that little indentation made by the lug on the underside of the barrel, which upon striking this round halted the rearward motion of the slide, knocked the round into a downward position, and at the same time prevented the previous round from extracting. Okay, this time around I've loaded the gun with Sig Sauer V-Crown 124 grain JHP 6-round magazine. I already know that the Spear Go Dot works perfectly in this. Let's try Sig Sauer. Anytime you change ammo, you should try it in your gun. Slow high. Okay, 6 rounds function flawlessly. I'm not going to waste time trying this in the 8-round magazine. I already know that if a gun won't feed full metal jacket, it probably won't feed JHP. In this case, the problem is with the spring tension of the 8-round magazine conflicts with the lug on the underside of the barrel. Something similar happens with the 115 grain. In this gun, the malfunctions appear to be limited to these longer 8-round magazines, and I haven't experienced that problem with these types of ammo on the 6-round magazines. Next test is a mixture of both Freedom Arms and Remington 124 grain full metal jackets. 6 rounds fired perfectly. Again, on this gun, the 8-round magazine appears to be, I don't know, it's a question of spring tension combined with the lug on the underside of the slide, I think. I might experiment with relieving that lug just a little bit, see if that avoids the dimple. Based on the earlier results you witnessed, this time around I'm going to use the 8-round magazine with only 6 rounds loaded. This will be an attempt to show the viewer how the difference in magazine spring tension makes a difference with this pistol. So, as I indicated previously, with 8 rounds in the magazine, the gun will start to extract on the first shot. The lug on the underside of the barrel will run into the nose of the next round coming up in the magazine, and that will halt the rearward movement of the slide while at the same time knocking the second round into a downwards position while also failing to extract. But with only 6 rounds in the 8-round magazine, it works perfectly. That was Winchester 124 grain NATO. Still comes apart pretty much like a 45. A few slight differences. The barrel has to be turned and then lifted out. The slide stop, remember what I said about these pistols self-destructing? This slide stop shows a lot of wear. I suspect the slide stop is doing most of the job of keeping the slide from continuing rearward. If we look at the inside of the frame, I don't know if the camera will catch it or not, but you can see definite battering in the area, battering caused by this end of the recoil spring pressing against a little pocket cut into what on a 1911 would be the frame bridge area. Except, of course, for whatever reason, Kimber decided not to give it a frame bridge. That's probably because it uses the para-ordnance type feed ramp. Personally, I think that was a little bit of a mistake. The lightness of the smallness of the gun, it really did deserve a full-size bridge, with possibly pieces a little thicker than that. What's that? That's about, let's guesstimate that an 1/8 of an inch thick aluminum to handle the battering of the slide coming back. That's one obvious. You can see the bare metal from where the impact has left marks in the aluminum. The metal coming back is steel, driven by the power of the 9mm bullet, and impacts against an aluminum wall, walls plural, that are about 1/16 of an inch thick, or 1/8 of an inch thick. Yeah, in time, this gun and probably any Kimber Solo will have problems there. However, I note on the website that although Kimber no longer sells or has not in stock any of these recoil spring assemblies, they do sell spare slide stops. And that implies to me they've probably experienced some people with slide stop problems like the silly thing cracks in two. There's no sign of any failure or damage on this. When the barrel goes down, she links. This forward portion is the part that the slide stop hits. And I think if I did a lot of shooting with this, I would keep a very careful eye on this bow for cracks. And here, we have the lug that has been marring my bullets using the 8 rounds. It catches the bullet nose at the ogive upon the rearward motion. It's just a wild speculation on my part, but I think relieving that 1,000th of an inch and then polishing it very smooth would possibly make a great deal of difference in reliability with the 8-round magazine, and maybe even with the 115 grains. I noticed it barely struck the 115 grain. So what happened if it misses the 115 grain and allows full recoil? Probably a little more battering on the slide, but if it doesn't stop the ejection, it would then pick up the next round and feed it. It's a thought. It's something I should look into. I'm pleased with how it's functioning with 124 grains in the 6-round magazine. But yeah, if I can tweak it a bit so it'll work with 115s too, why not? And of course, it's way past warranty and it's a discontinued item. So the 8-round magazine with a stronger spring that creates sufficient pressure and friction on the lug on the underside of the slide so that we start getting the jams that or misfeeds that you saw. Anyway, this completes my review of this used Kimber Solo. Like I say, it works perfectly with the 6-round magazines and 124 grain full metal jackets. And it works perfectly with the Spear Gold Dot ammo, 124 grain, but not much else. That being said, if you like this video, please like and subscribe. Consider also becoming one of my Patreon supporters. There's a link in the description below. Thanks. Have a good day.